Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
Afternoon, sir.
Yes,
Corporal
yes.
Clark with the RCMP.
Yeah.
I can get you step out of the vehicle. I'm going to place you under arrest right now.
Yeah.
Right now, you're under arrest under the provincial health orders. Okay, so if you can just put your hands behind your back, face towards the vehicle. Okay, give me one hand here.
I'll just use the same vehicle, okay?
Yep.
The other hand. Do you have any weapons or anything on you, sir?
Weapon? No, no weapon. Only,
Anything on you that's
only
going to
my
hurt
words.
me or anything like that?
Sorry?
Anything on you that's going to hurt me or anything like that?
No, no, anything will hurt you. Only my words, only my philosophy, only what I believe in.
Okay. All right, come on over this way. I'll explain a few things to you here right away.
That's the footage of People's Party leader Maxime Bernier being arrested, handcuffed, put in the back of a police vehicle, and later taken to jail, all for the non-crime of attending a political gathering. I emphasize the non-crime because it was no one less than Justin Trudeau's RCMP who did the arresting, although you'll notice the police officer was wearing a Under Armour ball cap. It was just some other brand. He wasn't wearing his uniform. Just a little wrinkle of oddness there. Well, joining us now to talk about this, now safely freed from jail and back in Quebec, is Maxime Bernier, who joins us now. Maxime Bernier, welcome back to Quebec. Tell us what happened after you were put into the back of the police vehicle. How long were you in the back of the vehicle? Where did they take you from then? And what did they say?
Yeah. First of all, Ezra, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak to Canadians about that. You're right saying since the beginning that it was not about COVID. It was not about respecting regulations. It was about political repression. Actually, the premier of Manitoba, Mr. Pallister, said Thursday before, that if I'm going to Manitoba, my wallet will have to be open, and it's at my own risk. And that was he doesn't want to have any Canadians, politicians, speak against these draconian lockdowns. So yes, when I was in the car, first of all, I was very surprised to be arrested. My lawyer told me that there's a risk that you'll be arrested. And I was arrested actually after the second get-together that I did. And the rule over there, their unconstitutional rule over there is if you are more than 5 persons outside in a park, it's illegal. So at the first meeting with my people, my partisan in a little village, we were out there in a public park. We were about 15, and they gave me the first ticket. And after that, they said to me, if you're doing another event out there with more than 5 people, you have a risk to be arrested. So I spoke with my lawyers, and they told me that you have a strong case. That's your constitutional rights. You can do it. That's a big risk, but it will be your decision. And I decided to do the second event in Saint-Pierre-Joli, near Winnipeg, about an hour south of Winnipeg, a little town over there. And we were only 8 persons with myself. And I was the only one who had the tickets. I was the only one who was handcuffed. And that was really political. And when I was in the car, policemen told me that, we're going to go to the police station in that same village. I was there for 8 hours. Usually, they let you do some phone calls, but they were very strict, and they said to me, you have the right to do 2 phone calls to your lawyer, and that's it. So I called my lawyers 2 times, and after that I asked if I can call my wife. They said no. I was in the jail alone with no bed and nothing for 8 hours. But the Crown wanted me to be able to leave and to be free again on certain conditions. And the condition was against my own freedom, my own charters, my own right to speak, my freedom of speech, because they were asking the judge to be sure that I won't be able to communicate on social media, to do any rallies and things like that, a lot of conditions. And I was pleased with the judge. The judge said, okay, the only condition would be for Bernier to pay $1,000 to be sure that he will be back in court July the 27th. And the other condition was to respect the law, like every Canadian must respect the law. So I said yes to that. And the police asked me after, I think I was free at around 11 o'clock p.m. that day. I was in jail at around 2 o'clock p.m., so about 9 hours. And the police were very strict with me, and they said, you must leave the province early tomorrow morning. And they followed us when I was driving to my hotel to be sure that I'm going to my hotel. I was feeling like being in a communist country. And the day after, I took the first flight to Montreal. And I will be back. I will fight that. But Ezra, I had a decision to take at that time because we had a rally planned actually that Friday night that has been canceled. But we had a rally, a real rally open to public in Winnipeg at 2 o'clock p.m. the Saturday. So I took the decision to leave the province and not going to that rally because for me, I had another, maybe I'll be in jail, but because doing that rally, and I said, I cannot be in jail until the 27th of July, because the 27th of July was the date and is the date for me to be back in court. So the risk was too huge for me to stay a couple of weeks in jail. I'm a politician, I'm campaigning, and we, as you know, we will have an electoral campaign this fall, so our party must be ready, and I wasn't able to take that chance. So that's why I left the province, but I'll be back. I'll be back to campaign there as soon as I will be able to do it.
Well, there's so many things you said there. And by the way, I think you're right. We've seen a Christian pastor in Edmonton spend 35 days in a maximum security jail. So the threat of you being in prison for a month is not as far-fetched as it would sound. I want to ask you about two things you mentioned. Did you say that the Crown prosecutor wanted to ban you from using social media?
Absolutely, absolutely. And after that, in the press release, they denied that, but they did it. And my lawyer argued, and they didn't want me to use social media for or do some rallies and using social media to organize rallies, to speak against lockdowns, a lot of details, conditions like that we say no to that. And I was pleased with the judge and said, no, $1,000 is okay, and Bernier would be back, and we'll have a discussion in court in July, at the end of July.
Well, that's so outrageous that they would try and censor you on Twitter or elsewhere. That just shows how political it is. Now, you mentioned that you promised to obey the law and you would come back in July for court, and that sounds appropriate. But then you said the police wanted you out of the province really on the next flight. Was that part of the judge's order, or was that the police rushing you out of town? Did the judge say you have to get out on the next flight, or was that the cops?
Yeah, that was not the judge. That was the cop. After my release, they were asking me, where are you going? I said, I'm going to my hotel. And they were saying, okay. We suggest to you that you must leave as soon as possible this province. We will follow you everywhere in this province, and you may be back in jail depending on what you're doing. So that was a strong advice from me to leave as soon as possible the province.
But that came from the cops, not from the judge, just to be crystal clear.
Yeah, not from the judge, from the cop.
That's unbelievable. You know, I have to tell you, I follow politics in other countries sometimes, like in Russia and Venezuela and places like that are not free. And the harassment of political opposition, false arrests, trumped up charges, police being used as political enforcers, that's something that when it happens in Russia or Venezuela, we speak out about it. That feels like what happens in Manitoba. You had the premier and you had a mayor threaten you with arrest. It happened, and the police basically admitted they were there to enforce Brian Pallister's will. I find that deeply troubling.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, like you said in the beginning, I was surprised that the RCMP didn't have all their uniform. And somebody told me because it may be cops coming from Winnipeg and not cops working in that little town over there. And so it was a little bit bizarre that they didn't have their jeans and not their straight uniform, as you know.
That's unusual. I'm putting aside the hat thing. I just thought it stood out. I mean, normally you don't see a sponsored brand like Nike or Under Armour on police. At least I'm not familiar with that. Why did they handcuff you? I've never, the idea that you're a senior politician. You've been a cabinet minister. As far as I've known, you've never in your entire life had a history of crime or violence. Why did they handcuff you? Why did they take you to jail? This isn't even you weren't charged with any crime, let alone a violent crime. Why the handcuffs? And how long were the handcuffs on you?
When I was in the car, when I was at the police station, I still had them. And I think I had for 1 hour, something like that. And after that, they put me in jail. But usually things like that, it will take 2 or 3 hours and you'll have a discussion with a judge and you'll be out on certain conditions. But for me, it took 8 hours. I think they wanted to intimidate me. They wanted to be sure that I understand that I'm not welcome. That was part of an intimidation game, I believe.
Yeah. I have one last question for you. We were interested. Now, it happened sort of at the close of the day, so some folks might have been heading home, but it was such a dramatic thing to arrest a political party leader. I tried to imagine what would happen if Stephen Harper were the prime minister and the RCMP under him would have arrested and jailed Elizabeth May. I think it would have been the top story on the newscast at night, and I think it would have been the front page of the newspapers the next day, and I think there would have been calls for investigations of police overreach. I don't read all the mainstream media, so perhaps I missed something, but was there an outcry from civil liberties groups or from the media about this? I didn't see it. Maybe I just missed it.
No, absolutely not. Not in English, not in French. For them, it's like a business as usual, and they don't like what I'm saying. That's why it was political repression. And I don't trust anymore mainstream media like you, Ezra. It's a political party, and they didn't give me. That's the first interview I'm doing actually, Ezra. And I didn't have any call for a radio station interview, mainstream radio station or mainstream newspaper or mainstream TV. No, they put something out there that I was in jail. That's it. And next news.
That's incredible. And I'm worried that they're trying to cancel you, to deplatform you. And I'm worried that they actually would like you to be a political prisoner. And whether or not people agree with you or disagree with you, we should all be terrified that a political leader could be jailed in so clearly a politicized police mission. I'm very disturbed by this. I appreciate you making time for us, and please also make time for our new Quebec-based reporter, Alexandra Lavoie, who reports in both French and English. I know she'll be very interested in telling your story to our viewers in Quebec as well.
Thank you. I'll do that, Ezra. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you, you too. There you have it, Maxime Bernier, the leader of the People's Party, joining us via Skype. That's an excerpt from my daily show, the Ezra Levant Show. Every day I do a monologue on the news of the day, then I interview an interesting guest, and then I read my hate mail. You gotta subscribe. Go to rebelnews.com.